Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sunday night, and you are on the Indesim Esports Network, and that means Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries racing. We're back to road this week, and we are at Laguna Seca for 40 laps for the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Looking forward to bringing that all to you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, as I just said, 40 laps, 75% fuel, one set of tyres, no fast repairs. Obviously, myself and Paul bringing you all the action here on the Indesim Esports Network. Bit of track notes, so 2.23 miles, 3.6 kilometres, and it will be a 12 p.m. start time here for the drivers, ladies and gentlemen. So we're here at Laguna Seca on the Indesim Esports Network for round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries, brought to you by Ray White Rural Gander. And we are back road racing. But before we talk all about that, I need to welcome my friend, my fellow broadcaster, Paul Jackson, none other, back in the booth, mate. Paul, we go road racing in the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries here on a Sunday night. How good is that?
That's pretty good, Aidan. How you going? Good to be here again on another Sunday night broadcast. So, yeah, Laguna Seca back on a road circuit, the second of 3 road circuits in the season calendar, so it's good to see a bit of a mix-up of tracks and change from the oval scene, as a few of these guys are used to, so we'll see what everyone does tonight.
Yeah, we will, mate, but there is one notable addition tonight that has only run one round out of the previous 7 rounds, and it was a notable road course at Oran Park, who is Hayden Sell in the 080 car. He won the Oran Park race. He was fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, rather. Led it from start to finish, and he rocks out again tonight in the 080 car here at Laguna Seca. And he's currently doing the same thing, Paul. He's currently quickest in practice with a 124.97 as opposed to Darren McKenzie with a 125.5. So definitely showing a clean set of heels now, as he always does in these supercars on a road. But Justin Witcher we're on board with now at the moment, who is the current leader of the championship. So before we go into qualifying, Paul, we'll just bring up those championship points and run through the championship positions as we are about to tackle round 8 at Laguna Seca here on the InSim Esports Network. So as we wait for Paul to load those back in, we'll just stay on board there with Justin Witcher at the moment out of Victoria. But there we go. There are the positions up there at the moment. Justin Witcher leading the championship at the moment in P1, Christopher Finlay in P2 after having a pretty solid lead there, Paul, after the first couple of rounds, has dropped back to P2. Gary Wellman there actually in P3, I believe. Struggling to see that at the moment. Raymond Yeager in P5 there as well, Paul. So he's come back up there. Cade Donnelly in P6. Going to be a great night racing here at Laguna Seca, mate.
Yeah, definitely. I think the championship points there are definitely going to change up a little bit after tonight's race. Darren McKenzie currently sitting in P8 as second fastest on track at the moment, along with Sam Ketakouzanos, who's third fastest, sitting down there in P18. So these points are definitely going to change up a bit after tonight's race, I think.
Yeah, definitely will. There's a lot of different drivers at the front now, as we always see that on a road course, Paul, so it's nothing different to what we expect to see. Let's follow Ruben Phelps tonight as well. Ruben Phelps down there in 15th with 127.65. Raymond Yeager would be happy with his 127.16. Probably not so much the time, but just to be up there at the moment. He'll be the first to say he does not like road courses, so he'll be rocking around there. Andy Barber doing a good job up there in P5. Justin Witcher, leader of the championship, up there in P6 as well. Gary Rellman in P7 in practice. So it's going to be great racing by all these guys. It's going to be about finishing, but we'll go on for a lap with Terry Marwood at the moment. He is just coming around the third corner at the moment. We'll let him just get through this lap. I'm not sure whether we'll be able to bring another lap to you, but we'll see how he goes. But it's really important. So down into here, you see him drop down back into third, hit that apex. He missed it a little bit there. A bit of push there. He got pushed through the mid corner there, and he wasn't able to get on the throttle early enough. He'll drop back down now into third, and then up into the corkscrew. So right here, it's really important to get a really, really good braking zone. So get your braking right, keep the car as straight as possible, as he didn't then. See how he put input into that steering wheel, how is he under brakes? So that definitely didn't help Terry there. So we come around here currently in third gear, fourth gear. He'll drop it back into third. He's missing every apex at the moment, so that's not going to help his lap. So probably a bad lap to hop on there, Paul, but it gives you an example for all the viewers of what it's like to drive a supercar around Laguna Seca.
Yeah, I jumped in into the hot seat just in this practice session before qualifying, and it was definitely a bit of a handful, I found, to drive the car around the track, and I was taking most corners in second there, and I was still struggling to pull up, even braking a little bit earlier in a couple of corners and that, and it's going to be a hard one for a few guys, I think, to drive tonight.
Yeah, it is. I think less is going to be more tonight. Exaggerating the roll speed, allowing the car to transition its weight across from the front wheel to the rear wheels. Definitely around this track where there's a lot of high-speed corners, so you need to keep that mid-corner speed up and utilize the weight of that car to be able to get around the corner. So it's easy for us to say up here in the broadcast booth how to do it as we're on board with Team Bushfink. Sam Katakouzanos. Don't be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, if he's up there at the end of this race, pushing for a podium position or a P1. So Sam will be really good. But these cars are really different to drive. Like we said earlier at Oran Park, I believe it was round 4 or 5. These cars are totally different to drive around a road track to what the oval guys are used to. Obviously, these cars are built to drive around a road track, but a lot of these guys created this series come from an oval background. So trying to correct that from what you're used to doing turning left to adding right-hand corners can sometimes be a little bit different, Paul.
Yeah, it's not only turn left in a race car, as sometimes in oval when they do go to a circuit, there is that turn right as well and braking. But looks like that wraps up practice, and we're moving into qualifying now.
Yeah, looking forward to a great qualifying for the Australasian Supercar eSeries here from Laguna Seca, Paul. But big shout out as we're about to bring you all the qualifying action here on the InterSim Esports Network for the Australasian Supercar eSeries here at round 8 from Laguna Seca. But mate, big shout out to Ray White Rural Gander. Obviously, Witcher Electrics, Justin Witcher, who's leading this series, and AP Esports for bringing all these action to you. Also, Paul, pleasure to be in the booth again on a Sunday night for the Australasian Supercar eSeries. But we have the first cars out on the track now, ready to set their laps for qualifying. I believe that might be Christopher Finn. No, that's not. That's Pete Matson in the Ray White Rural Gander, as we spoke about earlier, the major sponsor of this, getting ready to set his laps in qualifying. He is warming up those tyres, getting it ready. He's got 2 laps to do this. Hopefully Pete's going to be able to put a good lap in, but he's getting a little bit aggressive on those warm-up laps, Paul. But, mate, Hayden Sell, again, jumped straight in. Road race here, Laguna Seca, V8 Supercars, Australasian Supercar eSeries. Faster in practice, do you think he's going to be able to emulate that in qualifying?
Yeah, for sure. At Oran Park, Hayden Sell showed why he's such a great supercar driver there, and all-round sort of sim rig racer as well. So I believe he does some karting as well. So I did see on his page he was doing some racing this weekend, I think, in go-karts. So that was
he would have been.
to see that.
He would have been up at the Ipswich Kart Club having a race up there. So that was good. Hopefully you went well, Hayden. But at the moment we are on board. It looks like they're with Dwayne Priest as we see him come through trying to set his first fast lap. No one set a fast lap at the moment. That's definitely not going to be a fast lap for Dwayne Priest. But we have, that's either Terry Marwood or Shannon Wright. Sorry, no, looking at the wrong thing. Sorry, I've got 3 screens going, ladies and gentlemen. You need to bear with me right now. But Todd Maxfield, we're on with him with his qualifying laps. And no one at the moment has set a lap, Paul. It is an 8-minute qualifying session. There is a lot of time to go, but a couple of guys have struggled early, and being that would be Darren McKenzie, Terry Marwood, and Andy Barber, because it's showing they're currently in pit lane. So they have come out of pit lane, made a mistake, and they're back in pit lane. But no one has set a fast time yet, Paul. So who's going to set the standard here for round 8 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries here from Laguna Seca?
Well, just looking here, we've got green sectors all around for both Shannon Wright and Todd Maxfield. So hopefully they're going to put some times up on the board here for us, and we'll see what comes up.
Yeah, and we currently have P2 in the championship. Christopher Finlay going to the top there with a 126.51. Troy Davidson with a 126.97. It's just been pipped by Raymond Yeager, who's just been pipped by Ruben Phelps with a 126.76. And then Hayden Sell to the top with a 124.5. 1 second clear of the field, Paul.
And yeah, all green sectors here for Cade Donnelly as well. So he's on a pretty good lap here. So we'll see where Cade's going to slot into the mix of this as Darren McKenzie and Andy Barber's back out on track once again.
And I said Hayden Sell was 1 second up on the field. He's actually 2 seconds up. So that is crazy time. But yeah, great job by everyone at the moment. Ruben Phelps just moves up into P3 at the moment. Cade Donnelly just jumps up into P2 with a 1:26.05. Still 1.5 seconds down on Hayden Sell. So Hayden definitely has these cars sorted out. This is a fixed series, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Ray Wright Rural Gander. It is a fixed series, so they all have the same setup. So it's not like Hayden's doing something special in relation to setup or anything different these guys are doing. It is just driver awareness. So great job up there. He's just gotten off track, so he's not going to go any quicker than a 1:24.5. Justin Witcher's just jumped up with a 1:25.5, Paul. So he's currently sitting in P2. Sam Katakouzanos up there in P4's just jumped up with a 1:26.05, not to be beaten by Cade Donnelly with a 1:26.05. So third and fourth are currently identical times. That looks like it might be on screen at the moment. Darren McKenzie. So we'll keep going around with Darren McKenzie. Darren has had a tough couple of weeks, but he keeps going with his racing and he's doing a great job. So we'll see where Darren ends up at the end of this lap. He has been doing a great job in his sim racing lately, and he was P2 in practice. So he should move forward when we see him get across the start-finish line now. So we'll see him go into the final corner, back the gears, and he didn't use all the exit there. He got a little bit of wheel spin, but we'll see where he ends up when he gets across the line, Paul.
Yeah, and Andy Barber looking for a solid lap there as well behind him. So Andy's jumped to P12, I think, on that lap, and Mackenzie's up to P3.
Yeah, 1:25.81 there by Darren. Andy Barber, a 1:26.89, so a second down on Darren, but a lot to play out yet. But it just goes to show how strong Hayden Sell is here, Paul. 1:24.5 as opposed to a 1:25.4. He did one lap. He, from what we see, did not get a good second lap and had an off track. He could have gone quicker again. He's currently a second ahead. So we saw him at Oran Park completely blitz this field, and at the moment it's looking like he's going to do the same thing.
There's a few guys that might have something to say tonight, but yeah, Justin Witcher looking to have a solid run tonight as well. Sam Katakouzanos just moved from P5 up to P3 as well on his second lap.
Yeah, Justin will want to have something to say tonight. He's had a good couple of weeks and he's leading the championship. Christopher Finlay, who was leading the championship for the first three or four races, is back there in P6 in this qualifying session. So Christopher Finlay is the closest to Justin Witcher at the moment. So Justin's showing some great pace here around Laguna Seca in the supercar, but we'll see how that race pans out. We know that the road racing rules are a little bit different in relation to cautions. We're not going to see a lot of pace cars, all that type of stuff. So interesting to see how these guys rock on and do it here for round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries here on the InterSim Esports Network. But we're 7:44 into 10 minutes. It's a 10-minute qualifying session, Paul. I thought it was 8, so my apologies. We do have Hayden Sell at the top there at the moment. Justin Witcher, as we see it at the moment, will start the outside of the front row. Sam Katakouzanos will start out of P3, Darren McKenzie P4, Cade Donnelly, Christopher Finlay, Gary Wellman, Andy Barber, Troy Davidson, Ruben Phelps rounding out your top 10.
And on board with Adam Malone at the moment, who's yet to set a time. So this is his out lap, and it's his timed lap, I should say. He's done his out lap. So currently 2 green sectors there, so having a good run to the start of it.
Yeah, good start there by Adam. So we'll see how he can pick up the end of this lap as he's about to go up into the corkscrew at Laguna Seca. So really important to get a nice straight braking point here, not try and modulate that car through the corkscrew, get on the power as soon as you can. He's kept it really narrow on exit there, which is interesting. Coming through, he has three green sectors, another green sector, no purple, so it's definitely going to be a quicker lap on his personal best, but not going to fight for P1 at the moment. So as he comes across the line, we'll see where Adam Malone ends up in this qualifying session. So Adam Malone currently just jumps up into P13, so a 1:26.88. Looked like he was a little bit quicker than that, but I'm sure Adam won't be happy with that one, but I'm sure we'll see him there at the back end of the race at some point.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like we've got about 25 seconds to go, so I think everyone's set with their laps and whether they're happy or not. But yeah, that's going to be our starting grid by the looks of it. So once we go from our qualifying session to our race session, we'll bring up that starting grid. But Aidan, while we're yet to bring that up, let's make our picks for the night. So who are you thinking on 1, 2 and 3 tonight?
So P1, I definitely have to go Hayden Selpel. He has shown a class above on the roads. I'd love to see him come into ovals and have a go with these guys, because I'm sure he'd learn something in that as well. A lot of these guys are really good on road racing as well, but as we get sort of probably sidetracked and do our own thing that we have fun with friends on iRacing, so to broaden his horizons there would be good, but definitely Hayden Sell. I'm thinking Darren McKenzie for a top 3, and I'm also thinking Andy Barber for a top 3 as well, Paul. What about yourself?
Well, yeah, I'll definitely have to agree with Hayden Sell for the top pick of the win tonight. But there's a couple of other guys there as well. Can't put it past Darren McKenzie and Sam Katakouzanos as well. I think they're going to have some solid runs as well, and Justin Witcher up there as well. So there's a few names we could throw in there for that second, third, fourth sort of positions there.
Well, hopefully we see some good racing, but you can see as we bring up the standings at the moment, as we're going to go green here for round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries, brought to you by Ray Rural Gander. Off the pole, again on a road course for his second time in the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries, will be Hayden Sell out of P1. On the outside of that second row will be Justin Witchard, followed by Sam Katakouzanos on the inside of the second row in P3. Darren McKenzie will be starting out of P4, followed by Cade Donnelly out of P5. Christopher Finlay on the outside of the third row in P6. P7 will be Gary Wellman, followed by Andy Barber in P8. Troy Davidson out of P9. Ruben Phelps from Aussie Esports, which won't be happy with that qualifying result, starting on the outside of the fifth row in P10. P11, Raymond Yeager and Aaron Dillon rounding out the top 12. Paul?
Yeah, and talking with Ruben, he was a little bit worried about tonight's race. I think he wasn't sure if he was going to race or not, but I think P10 up there was a pretty good qualifying session for Ruben. So Raymond Yeager in P11 and Aaron Dillon P12, Adam Malone and Todd Maxfield in P14, Greg Spencer and Shannon Wright, Peter Matson, Dwayne Priest, Sean King in P19 there, and Terry Marwood rounding out the top 20. Nigel Padden and John Quass, if I said that wrong, apologies, but John in P22 there. And that's it.
Yep, and that is our 22 starters to take us to the green here for round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Hayden Sell will bring us to the green. A little bit different, Paul, as they go through the corkscrew. It is not a standing start here. They're used to doing ovals, so it will be a rolling start. So a little bit different here for Hayden as well. He did this at Oran Park as well, so he's not used to doing these rolling starts. So we'll see where he goes. And he is backing up the field a little bit behind that pace car and trying. It is all on Hayden at the moment in that 080 Cell Racing custom racing ears ZB Commodore. So we'll see how that goes. But Paul, we're about to go green for round 8 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries here from Laguna Seca. And I'm excited for this one because it just takes one mistake. It is a road course. They're going through the second to last corner now. Hayden Sell will bring us to the green. Justin Witcher on the outside. How hard does Justin want to win this one? So we're about to go green. We're down the main... Oh, no, sorry, we're not. My apologies. We are green.
Yeah, we're already into the race here.
No, my apologies, mate. I had 3 different screens going, so my apologies. So we're into the race. All right, Paul. So we see Hayden Sell take the lead of this motor race, and I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. I do have 3 different screens going up, whether it be timing, whether it be live stuff, looking at your comments, whether it be everything else. So I do apologise not being able to bring the start of this motor race to you. But Hayden Sell with a really, really good clean start. Justin Witcher there in P2. Darren McKenzie with a great job. P3. Andy Barber up 4 spots out of the 8 starting position up into P4. So a great job by Andy Barber there, Paul.
Yeah, definitely. And Andy was one that you mentioned, and there's a few fans in the chat tonight going for Andy, so we might jump on board with Andy for a moment so they can have a bit of a watch there and cheer him on. And it looked like in the background though that I think Dwayne Priest might have suffered a bit of damage in the back of his car. He's already missing the boot and spoiler off that supercar.
It's not good for Dwayne. Hopefully that's not too bad for his race and he can push on and keep getting to the end of round 8 here. But yeah, not a good start for Dwayne Priest. He's definitely been quick in that 777 ZB Commodore, but generally those type of incidents with the damages hasn't really been a problem. But as you said, Paul, we're on board now with Andy Barber. Everyone going for Andy Barber on the stream at the moment, watching. Make your comments loud. We'll go on with Andy Barber at the moment. We'll interact with you. So, Paul, Andy Barber, here we go. P4 currently at round 8 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Everyone watching here on Facebook, YouTube or Twitch, jump across and give us some comments as we go on board with Andy Barber.
Yeah, Andy repping a different paint from his usual livery with the share a Coke with Andy, but he's repping Tiona Holiday Park there tonight on his car. And the paint job looks really nice.
Yeah, it does look good, Bull. Different for Andy. He does usually use the Coke paint. He might have thought from last night with some... or even, as he locks the left-hand front there going into the entry of the corkscrew. But he might have thought that might have been a bit of bad luck and he needs to change that livery up. And it's definitely done it so far tonight. 4th place at the moment. So he's doing a great job.
Yeah, well, everyone's just settling into their routine now and finding their rhythm. And oh no, we've actually had a bit of an accident with Hayden Sell there. Might have to jump back and have a look.
Hayden Sell is in the wall. Has he done that by himself, Paul? And we've got comments too in the background. Mark Joe having comments as well. So thank you, Mark, for commenting on that. That's great. But let's go back and see what happened to Hayden Sell. So all by himself at the front. He's just caught a little bit of dirt on exit, and that is going to be almost night over for Hayden Sell after leading round 8 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Justin Witcher's going to be sitting back there and going, thank you.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate there for Hayden. Just clipping the dirt on the outside there, so it's easy to do. Running over those ripple strips, using as much of the track as you can, and just got that rear left wheel on the dirt there. And
Yeah, well, at the moment, he is still on the lead lap, I believe. So he is still circulating. We'll see how he ends up. But we're 4 laps into 40. Justin Witcher, Andy Barber's now up into P2, which was one of my picks. There is Hayden's mum actually commenting on our stream there, Paul, saying, whoops, laugh out loud. So, yeah, unfortunate for Hayden there, but I'm sure he'll get back to the front of this motor race. There's a lot of people commenting on our streams tonight, and it's good to keep people up to date with what's happening. But Justin Witcher is definitely showing a clean set of heels here at the front. We're only lap 4 into 40. Andy Barber in P2, Cade Donnelly P3, Christopher Finlay P4, and Sam Katakouzanos in P5. So great start. Unfortunate for Hayden, but Justin's definitely loving this one at the front, as he currently has 1.8 seconds over Andy Barber.
Yeah, might just have to duck back a little bit because Darren McKenzie has dropped right off, and I think he's parked the car. So might just duck back, have a look at what happened with Darren here as well.
Yep, let's do that. I can see him back there. So Hayden is there. Darren McKenzie up on the back of Justin Witcher there as we're watching. Oh, that's a disconnection issue by the looks of it there, Paul. Looks like he's had a bit of an internet issue.
Yeah, definitely. That's unfortunate for Darren as well. So a couple of the guys that had some real race pace out already. So hopefully Darren can join back in and get back out on the track and do a few laps. And also Hayden, I'll see Hayden's back out on track again. So hopefully he can make up a few spots.
I'm sure he will, Paul. But Justin Witcher currently up 1 position. So he started on the outside of that front row, as we do see Hayden Sell at the moment on your cameras. But Justin Witcher now up 1 spot. So he started on the outside of that front row. He would be very happy with that start at the moment. Andy J. Barber is absolutely stormed the field at the moment. He started out of P8. He's up 6 spots into P2, and he's trying to hunt down the Pinnacle Esports ZB Commodore there of Justin Witcher, the Witcher Electrics, the sponsor of this series. So Andy Barber is definitely on the back there of Justin. He's going to try pull right up on the back of him. Cade Donnelly doing a great job there. And second place in the championship, Christopher Finlay currently in 4th there, Paul. So Christopher Finlay doing a great job there in 4th as well. He's not going to gain any positions on Justin if we were to finish status quo at the moment, but he's not going to lose as much as he could do if he did have a bad race. So Justin Witcher doing a great job at the moment. His last lap was a 126.9 as opposed to Andy Barber with a 126.6, Cade Donnelly with a 126.7, and Sam Katakouzanos has just taken P4 of this motor race with a 126.3 of his last lap. So Sam Katakouzanos is moving his way through this field. So Justin Witcher needs to keep an eye out for Sam. He is currently about 5 seconds behind Justin, but this can change really quickly considering the lap changes. So we had an incident there through the corkscrew. It looks like, was that Aaron Dillon and Dwayne Priest maybe? That might not be his car, but Aaron Dillon, a big moment through the corkscrew there. So we will see how it all pans out. But Justin Witcher, Paul, doing a great job start. We're only 7 or 8 laps into the 8th round of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries here from Laguna Seca. And Justin Witcher's had a great start. Very unfortunate start there for Hayden Sell, but he's moving his way back forward. Dwayne Priest has just gotten off track. Andy J. Barber up there in P2. Again, as we're broadcasting live here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, any Andy J. Barber fans, shout out. We will make you a part of the broadcast. Cade Donnelly there in P3, Sammy K P4, Christopher Finlay P5, Paul.
Yeah, definitely. And about 1.3 seconds there from Andy to Justin at the moment. So sort of maintaining that gap from Justin Witcher as he's going uphill. He's just extended that out to 1.5. But Everyone's doing a pretty good job. Sam Cat, as you mentioned, up in P4 there, he had a bit of a shaky start. He dropped back about 6 or 7 spots off the start there as he was in P3, so he's making his way back up through the field and back into P4, so he's having a good run too.
Yeah, he is, and he's definitely going to be someone at the back end of this race that we need to look out for. Andy Barber obviously doing a great job there in P2, chasing down Justin Witcher, but we look at the last laps. If we look at the last laps, it's a 1:26.67 from Justin Witcher, a 1:26.67 from Andy Barber, a 1:26.41 by Cade Donnelly, a 1:26.63 by Sam Katakouzenos, and a 1:27.6 from Christopher Finlay. So those first 4 guys at the moment are definitely faster than everyone around them, but the fastest in those first 4 at the moment is Cade Donnelly, trying to chase down Andy Barber. So this is going to be interesting, the gaps at the front. So at the moment, I don't think Andy Barber's got anything for Justin Witcher. Justin is doing a great job at the front, but where the battle pack's going to be, I believe the battle pack at the moment, forget about P3 Cade Donnelly, and that's no disrespect to you, Cade. We'll come back to you, but the battle pack's going to be Christopher Finlay in 5th, Gary Wellman in 6th, Davidson 7th, Maxfield in 8th. So that's definitely going to be where that battle is at the moment, but which is now actually being caught by Andy Barber. So he's nearly been caught by under 1 second. So as quick as I talk about everything changing, oh my God, who was that through the corkscrew there, Paul?
That was Hayden Sell just taking a shortcut there, trying to make up a little bit of time.
Oh, Hayden Sell taking a shortcut. Well, after the start of his race, he needs to make all the time he can get, but I'm sure he won't be happy with that. That's not the way to get the time. But we're currently 9 laps into 40. Justin Witcher doing a great job out the front there at the moment. 1.5 seconds on Andy Barber, who has Cade Donnelly all over him at the moment. Sam Katakouzenos is a further 2 seconds back, but Ruben Phelps doing a great job tonight, Paul. He's up into 9th position. He's only up 1 spot on his starting position, but he joined late. He wasn't considering racing tonight, but he is up there in 9th. He's going to want to put a little bit of pressure there on Todd Maxfield, as he has Aaron Dillon in behind him as well. So there's Ruben Phelps of the 06 car out of Dunedin, New Zealand for Aussie Esports in the 9th position, doing a great job around here at Laguna Seca. But Paul, we'll just wind it down a little bit. We're lap 9, about to go lap 10 into 40. We're road racing. Oh, we're about to wind it down as Aaron Dillon gets right into the back of Ruben Phelps. So not good there by Aaron Dillon, but in saying that, how good was that to watch? But we are still going green. Ruben Phelps, Aaron Dillon. We'll just stay on board with this battle at the moment and see whether Aaron has the pace to be... Oh, looks like we just jumped off that, so my apologies, guys. But
Sorry, there. I was just trying to duck back to Cade Donnelly. Just made the move on Andy Barber here for P2. So we'll just go back to a replay on that one and...
So we'll go back and have a look at the move. So Cade Donnelly with a really, really strong move around the outside of Andy Barber there. Looks like Andy Barber just gave that up a little bit and gone, right, okay, you can have that one. I'll come back and I'll fight that later in the race. So Andy Barber has now moved back to P3, Cade Donnelly. Cade Donnelly is actually setting fastest laps of the race at the moment, quicker than Justin Witcher. We need to keep one eye on Hayden Sell, though, as we always do. His last lap was a 1:27.35 as opposed to the front guy, so he's actually slower than the front people at the moment. So not sure. That obviously definitely had damage for his car, as you can see, as he doesn't have a bonnet. But we'll see how that happens. But Justin Witcher would have to be happy with this one. He's nearly 3 seconds in front of Cade Donnelly. Oh, as we have a big incident through the corkscrew, Paul.
Top and bottom.
We have cars going at the bottom and the top.
two of the AFT cars there. So I think that was Shannon Wright and Terry Marwood possibly there. Both not having a good time in the corkscrew there.
Yeah, well, we'll go back and have a look at that in a minute. But we've got Hayden Sell on board at the moment with the really second-hand looking ZB Commodore. Aaron Sell, you can jump on and have comments and support your son. So Hayden at the moment, he had a really unfortunate start. He's back in 11th. It looked like he's really struggling there with the car. He might have blown it up. No, he hasn't. But he's struggling with that car, but he's going to keep going. But we'll go back to that replay and see where that incident happened.
Yeah, Todd Maxfield just running off the track there. So a bit of pressure there from Ruben Phelps possibly, and just come unstuck there.
Yeah, unfortunate there by Todd and everyone. But we're only 11 laps into 40 here, Paul. Laguna Seca. Road courses generally do this. It's really hard to call because there's no pace car, there's nothing. So you have an incident and you get a caution. It's like you're waiting for the pack to be called up and you don't get that. So to be able to keep the continuity in the call and everything, it's really hard. But Justin Witcher definitely doing a great job at the front here. 3 seconds in front of Cade Donnelly, Andy Barber up there in P3 as well. Sam Katakuzanos in P4, Christopher Finlay in P5. So really good job. But big shout out here on the Australasian Supercar eSeries Intersim Esports Network, brought to you live here on a Sunday night. Ray White, Rural Gander, big shout out to those guys. Jump on board and look at them if you're looking at any property, any real estate, whether it be renting, buying, any investment, or what you want to do up through the Sunshine Coast of Queensland. Jump on to all the socials, everything about Ray White, Rural Gander. And Pete Matson is the man that brings that to us as you see him in this race, currently sitting down there in P9, so doing a great job. Also, we've got Witcher Electrics as well. Justin Witcher is showing a great speed at the front, currently 3 seconds in front. Jump on and support him, anything electrical in Melbourne or in the surrounding areas and AP Esports. But Paul, we're 13 laps into 40 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries here at round 8. We can see now that Hayden Sell is making a really big move around Pete Matson. So Hayden's got a lot of speed in this car, even though it looks really hindered. So we still have another 27 laps of this race to go. Don't be surprised if Hayden makes his way up to the front. But Paul, as we do that, let's go on board with Hayden without a bonnet and let's do 3 or 4 minutes around Laguna Seca in a supercar with Hayden Sell so we can get a breather. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen, a couple of laps around Laguna Seca International Speedway by Hayden Sell. And Aaron, we just need to jump in and say, no, they don't have any fast repairs. But if it's any little bit of support there for you, Hayden Sell in his last lap was a 1:26.5, as opposed to everyone in front of him was a second slower. So even with that damage at the moment, he is making moves on this field. So don't apologise for wanting to do a race on a school night. We are happy to have him here on a school night, Aaron. We enjoy that, and he is an absolute superstar around these road courses in the supercar. So, Paul, we are getting nearly into halfway. Sam Katakuzanos at the moment making the move up the inside there, Andy Barber. So there's a change for the podium positions. Sam Katakuzanos up into P3, and now he'll be chasing down Cade Donnelly for P2.
Yeah, fired a big move up there on the inside of Andy to take P3. In the background we saw Peter Matson just running a little bit wide as well, going up the hill and towards the corkscrew as Todd Maxfield got around him for P10.
Yeah, we'll just keep on board though with Sam Katakuzanos at the moment, Paul, because he's dragging in Cade Donnelly a little bit at the front. So we'll just keep an eye out for this. And I'm also interested to watch that gap between Cade Donnelly and Justin Witcher, because that was out to over 3 seconds. It's now to nearly under 2 or mid 2. So that's definitely going to change as well. Andy Barber's really struggled on this run. He got up there earlier, second and third spot, and he's just dropped back and back and back. So whether he drove too hard too early is yet to be seen. Christopher Finlay was in fourth earlier as well. He's back into P5 and he's dropped off a lot. Gary Wellman there in P6. So Ruben Phelps has now moved up into P8 too, Paul. So he's been doing good. And if we look at the last lap times, let's just watch them roll through at the moment. 1:27.4 from Justin Witcher, 1:26.8 by Cade Donnelly, which is 0.6 of a second quicker than our race leader Justin Witcher. Sam Katakuzanos with a 1:26.7 just behind Cade Donnelly. 1:28 flat pretty much there by Andy Barber. Christopher Finlay, 1:27.2. Way quicker there by Andy Barber. Gary Wellman, 1:27.5, 1:27.4 by Troy Davidson. Ruben Phelps, 1:27.9. Hayden Sell back there in P9 with a 1:26.6. So fastest lap of the last race was by Hayden Sell. But it looks like with those last laps, watch out for Cade Donnelly, Sam Katakuzanos. They're definitely making moves and trying to catch the lead of this motor race over Justin Witcher. But in saying that, it looks like this gap has opened up a little bit as well. So it is the ebbs and the flows as we watch round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries here on the Indus Esports Network, Paul. But we're lap 18 going on 19 by the looks of it, or 16 going on 17 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. Some of my graphics at the moment are a little bit blurry, so I'm trying to have a look. But Paul, I'll let you take over for a minute. We are lap 17 of 40 at Laguna Seca for the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries here at round 8.
And into Andretti Hairpin there. Sam's running a little bit wide there, getting a bit loose in the rear as well, but managed to hang on to that, and it gave Andy Barber a little bit of a gap to catch up there. So we had some inside goss saying to watch out for Andy around lap 32 onwards as well. So might just be playing it cool, as Margaret had suggested. So we'll definitely have to watch Andy around then.
We'll have to. And Margaret, be sure to shout out and give us your tips. Why is Andy someone to look out for from lap 32? Give us the tips for all the viewers watching here on the Indus Esports Network. Jump in, be a part of it. Also see Prue having a comment there saying, good call tonight, Aiden. So thank you, Pruesy. But we are here for round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. I'm interested to see. What I'm interested to see is when we go through pit stops. So there will be a pit stop. There is no way they can get to the end on this fuel burn. But Justin Witcher at the moment with a 2.35 second gap on Cade Donnelly, Sam Katakouzanos back there in P3. They've still got to go through pit lane yet, Paul. So I'm interested to see what happens here, especially with Hayden Sell actually being the fastest car on track, but it looks like we've got the first car through pit lane, Paul.
Yeah, well, I thought Aaron Dillon was actually going to be the first car through pit lane as he came in at lap 13, but his car's looking a bit average there as Hayden just drove past him as well. So I think Aaron must have had a little bit of an accident and probably parked the car for the night.
And we see Hayden Sell in pit lane there too, Paul.
Yeah, so he's doing his pit stop and he'll be back out to finish the race off. So currently in P14 down to P15 now on his way out. So still got a few cars in front of him that'll need to pit. And oh no, I think Sam's just had a bit of an accident. So we'll just jump to have a look at that.
All right, so Sam Katakouzanos from Bushwick Racing moving up into the corkscrew at the moment, into the braking zone. Oh, I reckon he's moved his brake bias a little bit far back there and just ran a little bit hard into that corner. Andy Barber saw everything light up in front of him there and goes, "Thank you, Sam, I'll take that position." But Justin Witcher at the moment still leading this race. Cade Donnelly is not backing off him though, Paul. He's now brought it down to 2 seconds. So Cade Donnelly definitely making it interesting here at the front. Andy Barber still showing a clean set of heels there in third. Doesn't have the pace for these front two guys, but he is just sitting there at the moment going, okay, guys, if you make a mistake, I am going to be there and I'm going to pounce. Christopher Finlay has now moved into P4. That has been really, really bad there for Sam Katakouzanos. It shows he's out. He may have disconnected from this race. So Sam Katakouzanos with that incident, not sure whether the live timing is correct, but that is currently what it's showing on my end. But Justin Witcher. All right, so it looks like Sam is out of pit lane. So sorry, he was coming out of pit lane. So my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. He's not out of the motor race. He was coming out of pit lane. So Sam Katakouzanos has come out of pit lane last time through pit lane, lap 18. Hayden Sell was the first to blink though, Paul. He came in on lap 17, so he's trying a little bit of an undercut here. He doesn't have the car at the moment. Gary Wellman's now in pit lane, but we'll see how it works on the long run. He definitely does have the car pace. So Gary Wellman's now in pit lane. It looks like Raymond Yeager's gone through pit lane as well, and he's on his way out. Aaron Dillon's in pit lane. We'll see how this all plays out at the moment. Gary Wellman looks like he is out as well. Justin Witcher still leading this motor race, 1.9 seconds in front of Cade Donnelly. Andy Barber in second, Christopher Finlay Cade Donnelly in second, Andy Barber in third, Christopher Finlay in fourth, Troy Davidson in fifth. Adam Malone there on screen there, Paul, eighth, up 5 positions on his starting position. So Adam would be happy with that one so far.
Yeah, definitely. And we saw Sam in the background there coming into the final corner with a bit of a, I guess, a lock-up. Ooh, what have we got here? So coming around the corner, someone's in the fence there. That looks like Greg Spencer. So unfortunate for Greg there, as he was having a pretty good run as well. He was up about 6 or 7 spots there as well. And Aaron, on a rough calculation, I think it was getting about 2.8 litres to a lap, and they've got 75% fuel, which I think was 83.3. So yeah, roughly around 29 laps, I think, is what a tank would last at a rough calculation. But I'm sure guys could maybe save a little bit more on that as well.
And how good is it Paul, to have everyone interacting here on our stream. I know sometimes we can sit here, and I'm the biggest one. I can talk until the house comes down, if that's even a word. And you know I make up words here on the InSim Esports Network. But how good is it to have people interacting here on our socials for everyone at home to be able to watch the broadcast, to be able to bring it back to their family, friends, everyone interacting, everyone supporting their favourite drivers, their favourite family drivers, or just their sim racing friends. It's so good to be able to have everyone here on the InSim Esports Network here, whether it be a Sunday night, whether it be a Friday night, whether it be on anything we bring to you here on the InSim Esports Network, to be able to have all these people interact to us while we're live here on the InSim Esports Network. So how good is that, Paul? But we've got Margaret, Adam Kessels, Kylie, Adam, Ashley, Erin, Prue, obviously, everyone interacting with us. It's so good. But we're seeing the final laps, or the next people down pit lane at the moment. We'll see Cade Donnelly in pit lane. Andy Barber's made the blink. Todd Maxfield's currently coming out of pit lane. We'll let them go through pit lane, Paul, but how good is this?
Yeah, so Justin did his pit stop the lap before, and Cade and Andy now covering off on that pit stop. So Christopher Finlay staying out another lap to lead a lap, get a bonus point there. Ruben Phelps up in P2 there as well. So Ruben's having a really good race there. Probably still yet to pit, I'd say, for Ruben, but Sam moved back up. He's into P6 currently, so Justin Witcher in P3 and Sam K now up to P5. So Sammy K is doing a really good recovery job there from pitting a little bit earlier as well.
He is, and after pointing nearly in the opposite direction through the corkscrew, very good job there by Sam Katakuzanos. He's actually jumped Andy Barber, who passed him when he had that instance. So really good job by Sam Katakuzanos there at the moment. Justin Witcher, who's the leader of the first half of this race, is there in P3. But Christopher Finlay's still out there on track at the moment, as is Ruben Phelps. Pete Matson hasn't been through pit lane either, but your effective leader of this race will be Justin Witcher when Christopher Finlay and Ruben Phelps decide to make their way down pit lane. Cade Donnelly will be in P2. Sam Katakuzanos will be in P3, Andy Barber P4. Hayden Sell will be in P5 at the end of this pit lane transition. So there we go, Paul. He went back to 13th or 14th position. He is 5th in line, who's been down the pit lane once. So Hayden Sell doing a great job with a damaged car. But the man at the moment who is definitely in this race or to win it, will be Justin Witcher. But Cade Donnelly, Sam Katakuzanos and Andy Barber don't write off them. Also with Pete Matson there following them as well, Paul.
Yeah, so Pete Matson still yet to pit, I believe. So Pete will fall back a little bit in these placings. Greg Spencer is in pit lane now as well. So still Christopher Finlay and Ruben Phelps, P1 and 2 yet to pit as well, as we're on lap 23 currently.
Yeah, we are, and we see Aaron Dillon now making a comment on our stream as well. And Aaron Dillon was in this race earlier, and he's going, go Cade Donnelly. So thanks for tuning in there, Aaron. Unfortunate race for you tonight, mate. Hopefully you can be back next week and be a part of it. But yeah, go Cade Donnelly, as you say. So Cade's currently up there in P4 doing a great job. So Aaron, thank you for tuning in. But Finlay looks like he's now blinked into pit lane. Ruben Phelps has stayed out there again. If I'm looking at live timing, sorry guys, my live timing is not catching up as quick as what the broadcast is happening. But it looks like Christopher Finlay's in there, Ruben Phelps. So Justin Witcher, when Ruben blinks, will become the lead of this motor race, with Cade Donnelly in third, Sam K in fourth.
And Christopher Finlay into pit lane this time through, so Ruben Phelps now grabbing a bonus point for staying out. Currently our leader, but yet to pit, so 10 seconds over Justin currently, so Cade Donnelly there just getting through some lap traffic, 2.8 seconds behind Justin Witcher at the moment.
Yeah, and Ruben's really going to hurt here when he pits, so it was a really good call, like, to go longer because that's pretty much all he had to be able to get track position, was go as long as he can. So he's going to lose a lot here when he goes down pit lane. You can see here Justin Witcher is catching him hand over fist. He's nearly 2.5 seconds in the last half a lap. So he's definitely catching at the moment, as you see Cade Donnelly on screen. We've got Greg Spencer, I believe that is, on the inside there. Oh, Nigel Patton just letting everyone go. But Ruben's definitely going to hurt through this pit stop, but as we see these guys gaining massive amounts of time on these new tyres, when Ruben comes out, he's going to gain a lot as well. It's probably a little bit too late, 24 into 40. Ruben was just trying to make as much as he could, but Justin Witcher still doing a great job. He's extended that lead. Even though we see Ruben the effective lead of this motor race, Justin Witcher will lead this motor race when Ruben Phelps decides to pit. He has now 2.8 seconds over Cade Donnelly, who has a further 4 seconds over Sammy Kay and Andy Barber. So currently, Justin Witcher, Paul, has done an amazing job tonight, 25 into 40 here at the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Ruben Phelps, who are on board now, who is our current leader, but he's only got 5.6 seconds on Justin, as you see Justin in the background there, just making his way out of turn 3, trying to catch up on the back of Ruben Phelps. But keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, Ruben Phelps does need to pit before we get to the end of this motor race. So Justin Witcher in a great spot at the moment, Paul, to be able to take the win of this motor race, but Ruben Phelps is going to come out with some really, really strong tyres, but is he going to have the pace to trace down Justin?
Yeah, with pit lane transition, I'm not sure what the pit lane time is there. I don't know if you've got that handy at all, but yeah, that's going to be a big question of how far back Ruben's going to drop in the field.
Yeah, he's going to drop quite a way back. I reckon it'd probably be around a 45-second transition through pit lane. He's only 5 seconds in front, and as we see him blink into pit lane, so we're possibly going to see him get back to around about P8, 9 or 10. I know I said 45 seconds. With the way these other guys are pitted, I'm just waiting to see, but he's definitely going to struggle to hold on to a top 10 here, I believe, with the amount of time he hemorrhaged under the old tyre. But Andy Barber there, as we're on board, is currently in P4. His last lap there was a 1:27.1, but these guys at the front, Justin Witcher, Cade Donnelly, Sam Katakouzenos actually had the fastest lap of the last lap on a 1:26.1, as opposed to your leader, Justin Witcher, with a 1:26.9, and Cade Donnelly, your P2, at the moment with a 1:26.6. So Sam Katakouzenos showing absolute amazing pace, but Paul, guess who the man? P5 at the moment. 1:25.01 was his best. 1:29.59 was his last. So that may have been a little bit of lap traffic, but Hayden Sellers now moved himself up into P5.
Yeah, so it's about 10 seconds there to Andy Barber, with Gary Wellman there 1 second behind him. So I think Hayden's slowly starting to pull away from Gary and trying to close that gap on Andy there for P4.
Yeah, he is. Andy's definitely going to be looking in his rear vision mirror at the moment with Hayden chasing him down. Hayden has a little bit of a second-hand looking ZB Commodore at the moment, but it definitely has some good pace. So, as we see a Pinnacle Esports car, Nigel Payton on the inside there, so that's not going to hurt Hayden Sell at the moment as he is chasing down Andy Barber. So we'll see. At the moment, Hayden Sell doesn't really have the pace on the guys in front. He's probably doing the time similar to the guys in front. So he may not be able to go back-to-back with the win so far, but it is a long race to go. But Justin Witcher, what a race. Last time through pit lane, lap 20. He's currently sitting about 2 seconds in front of Cade Donnelly there in P2, and he's just managing that gap. Oh, Adam Malone and Raymond Yeager, they're definitely having a good battle there up into the corkscrew. That didn't work well for Adam. It looks like he's dropped back massively there unless he got too many incident points or a slowdown. So
no, he had Justin Witcher there behind the race leader. So Justin with the headlight flashes, and Adam's done the good thing there to move over and let them all through.
That's good by Adam to let the leaders through. But disappointing night from Adam Malone. He'd want to do better than that. He wouldn't be happy, but we do know that bringing these supercars to road as much as they are meant to run around road, with these guys, a lot of these guys do ovals with these. So to be able to move these cars around these tracks on roads are a lot different than what these guys are used to. Or some of them, it's okay for them to do it in officials and do whatever, but some of these guys, i.e. Hayden Sell, Sam Katakouznos, and the likes, do a lot of road racing in the sim racing world, so they definitely have their head around this. But Paul, we are 20 laps into 40 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries here on the Instant Esports Network. 28, sorry mate, my apologies. I do have a really blurry screen at the moment, so I'm trying to catch up on anything. But we got a lot of viewers at the moment, so everyone is tuning in. Hayden's trying out a new feature for cooling the engine. The no bonnet thing might catch on, Aaron. It might, mate, but it doesn't matter because it's not making him any slower. So thank you for that. If it is a thing, we might see everyone run no bonnets next week. But Paul, we are 2/3 of the way through, or 3/4 of the way through this race for round 8 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries at Laguna Seca. We might jump on board with Andy Barber or Sammy K, who's definitely up the back of Andy Barber at the moment, and give us a couple of minutes to settle in, go over rest, go over drink, and get ready to call the last 5, 6, 7 laps of round 8 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries.
Well, just before we do jump on, so Margaret said to watch out for Andy Barber around lap 32, but lap 28, he's already put the move on Sam Cat. So Andy Barber jumping back up to P3 here, so we'll just have a little watch here as he made that move for P3, and then we'll jump on board with him.
Most definitely. So we'll see. Looks like Sammy K there just got a little bit hot into turn 1, and Andy Barber said, "Thank you, Sammy K, I'm going to take that one." So he now has his sights set on Kay Donnelly in P2 at the moment. So great job there. Oh, as we have, there's the commentator's curse right there, Paul.
Definitely looks like we've done it again. It's a common occurrence in the booth here with us, I think. Putting the curse on, and here comes Hayden Sell as well, up to P4 now.
Oh, Margaret, we're so sorry. Andy Barber doing a great job there in P3, but just got a little bit too much dirt. And I think you even said that earlier in the broadcast there, Margaret, that dirt was going to be an issue tonight. And there we see someone you were going for get caught out on that. So we do apologise for that. But Justin Witcher will be loving that at the front too, but he's only 1.6 seconds in front of Cade Donnelly. It looks like that's going to be the lead of this race at the moment, with a fight for the win. But Sammy K would have been sitting there now going, "Yep, that's good. I'm happy with that." But guess who he's got behind him? Hayden Sell right there behind him. So Hayden Sell, who was almost facing backwards, or was facing backwards rather, earlier in this race, a couple of laps in, has moved himself up into podium contention.
7 seconds to Sammy K in front of him, so he's a man on a mission at the moment, and he's certainly chasing down Sammy for that P3 podium spot.
Yeah, he is. He was 2 seconds quicker on the last lap around. In saying that, though, Justin Witcher and Cade Donnelly are pretty much on par with Hayden Sell. Give it half a second or so on his lap time. Sammy K is about 2 seconds down on Hayden Sell. So this is definitely a battle we're going to have to watch into the back end of this race. Hayden Sell trying to chase down the final step of that podium after starting off pole and being the fastest in practice and making that unfortunate mistake early on. So we'll keep monitoring that gap. At the moment, it doesn't seem like it is fluctuating too much, as it looks like he's in behind Gary Wellman. or Troy Davidson, I believe. I don't know. We're changing, but we'll just have to keep monitoring that gap there, Paul.
Yeah, definitely. We'll keep an eye on all the times going on across the whole field here. So currently a couple of little battles. Troy Davidson, Gary Wellman, with just under about half a second between them, and we've got Todd Maxfield looking to make a move on Peter Matson at the moment as they're coming down to the corkscrew here.
Yeah, and Todd Maxfield thinking better of it there, just holding it up in behind Pete Matson. Don't be surprised we see Todd try and set up Pete Matson here into a move up the inside of the final corner. So he'll go wide here. He'll try and get that run. There is a little bit of aero draft. He'll try and get a quick run out. He's going to go the undercut here. So or switch back. I thought he would have gone up, but he's trying to get that run onto the main straight to make the move into 1 and 2, but he definitely doesn't have the run on Peter Matson there. So he is going to have to succumb to that position or stay in that position. Pete Matson with great driving there to hold off. But Paul, Justin Witcher, we need to move back up to the front because he's being chased down by Cade Donnelly. Every time I look at it, Cade Donnelly is getting that little bit closer, and by a little bit, I'm talking a little bit. We're under 10 laps to go. He might have something for Justin at the back end of this one.
Well, all it takes is a little bit each lap with 8 laps, and a little bit becomes a lot over 8 laps, and we could see Cade right on the back of Justin soon.
Well, as we were about to go on board earlier, let's go on board with Cade at the moment and watch him chase down Justin Witcher as I can go get a drink of water and ready to call the back end of this one. And then we go, ladies and gentlemen, some laps around with Cade Donnelly chasing down the lead of this motor race, Justin Witcher, making massive gains there at the moment, Paul. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing me to go get a drink of water and bring the rest of this motor race to you. But Cade Donnelly definitely chasing down the race leader, Justin Witcher, at the moment, Paul, only 0.0 seconds behind Justin.
Yeah, things are starting to heat up here now at lap 34, and still looking at that timing, and Hayden's only 3 seconds behind Sammy K at the moment, but we'll stay on board here with Justin and Cade, and we'll see if Cade can get the job done and take over the race lead here off Justin.
Yeah, we will, and it is a great drive by Hayden Sell trying to chase up on the back there of Sammy K. It just goes to show what he could have done if he didn't make that mistake earlier in the race. But Justin Witcher has shown a clean set of heels at the front here and pretty much led every race of this motor race apart from the first couple. So doing a great job. But Cade Donnelly has some great pace at the end of this race. And as Aaron Dillon said, go Cade, he definitely had a good pick tonight, even though he was out of this race earlier. Aaron Dillon himself, or is currently still in the pits. He's still going. I believe he's still going, and commented on his stream. So on our stream rather. But here's the lead for the motor race. Cade Donnelly only 0.6 behind Justin Witcher. Justin Witcher going very right into the final corner there here at Laguna Seca. Cade Donnelly is going to want to make that move into one, or at least give him a little bit of a look on the inside. Show the nose on the inside. Cade Donnelly says, I am wiser than that. I'm going to sit here and wait for you to make a mistake, Justin. So he sits in behind Justin as they go out of turn 2, up through into turn 3. They will come out of turn 3 here. This is where Cade's going to want to get a good run through turn 4, down into this left-hander, and then we're going to go up the hill into the corkscrew. So Cade Donnelly, a good run at the moment, just nice and steady behind Justin Witcher. He's going to want to hit the apex here. With the arrow, he can push wide, but he doesn't. He hits that apex really well. He's on the gas, nice and straight, as is Justin Witcher. They go up through one of the trickiest, most fastest corners on the track as it goes off camber, and we go uphill. And we're going uphill now into the corkscrew where the car can get really light under brakes, as we see Cade Donnelly pull right up on the back there. Justin Witcher in the change of direction downhill. Cade Donnelly taking a really, really tight exit out of that corner, which allowed him to get the throttle down a lot quicker than Justin Witcher. But as Cade Donnelly pulls up onto the back of Justin here, it's going to be harder and harder to make a move as we go into the final corner. Cade Donnelly pulls up onto the back of Justin, nearly touches the back end there of the Pinnacle Esports ZB Commodore, and we are racing for that finish here. 3 laps to go of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Paul, 40 laps ago, I did not think we were going to see this, but how good is this with a couple of laps to go?
Yeah, this is really good. Oh, okay, just getting into the back of Justin there. So, very good just to not turn Justin around there, giving him enough room there to keep going. But, yeah, I didn't actually pick... Oh, Justin running a bit wide there, but didn't actually pick Cade to actually be up here contending for the lead, especially for the race. But Justin's been having a solid drive all night. But
and here we go, Cade. The lead for the motor race, Paul. Sorry to cut you off there, mate. Cade Donnelly takes the lead to this motor race. Justin Witcher's going to try and get the switch back, but Cade Donnelly takes the lead of this motor race. And you're exactly right. We weren't expecting him to be up here at the start of it as Justin Witcher tries to make the move through the corkscrew. Do they make contact? No, they don't. What a drive there by Cade Donnelly and Justin Witcher. Cade Donnelly comes out the other side of that one better off, but we will see what happens with only a couple of laps to go. I'm sure Justin Witcher is definitely going to want to make a move. Is he going to make a move up here into the final corner? No, he's not. So he's... Oh, Cade Donnelly... He has got the rears locked, and he has just given the lead of this motor race to Justin Witcher, and Justin says thank you. So did we put commentator's curse there on Cade Donnelly, Paul, or was that Cade Donnelly? But he definitely has a lot of speed. So we have now only 3 laps to go here at the Australasian Supercar eSeries Round 8 from Laguna Seca. Can Cade Donnelly bring this back to Justin Witcher and have another go for the lead of this motor race?
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Cade. He was looking very racy, and that was going to be a great battle there, back and forth between Justin and Cade. So hopefully 3 laps to go, Cade can get back up there, 1.6 behind Justin currently. So we'll see if he can make that move done. But let's switch back to our other little battle that's going on. So Sammy K and P3, Hayden South still just trying to close that gap down. And 1.7 now to Sammy K in front. So Hayden is definitely flying, trying to catch Sam for P3.
Yeah, he is. He's doing a great job at the moment trying to chase down that P3. He's a little bit... crippled at the moment. He has been the whole race after that unfortunate incident, but it's been a nice, solid recovery. As we said earlier in the broadcast, and Aaron, you're watching this as well, make sure that your son jumps on and does some of this oval stuff with us as well, because as you know, I come from road racing background. We all do as well, and we enjoy the oval stuff as well. It's been different, especially when we go through the iRacing platform, but really good to see your son Hayden up here in P4, about to push on Sammy K to try and get that P3. We're looking at the interval at the front though, Paul. We said it, we're now nearly under 1 second between Justin Witcher and Cade Donnelly. We are only a couple of laps to the end of this one, so not sure whether Cade Donnelly's got anything for Justin Witcher at the moment, but he's definitely narrowing that margin very quickly. Whether Hayden Sell's being able to get onto the final step of the rostrum at the moment and make that pass on Sammy K is definitely something to watch at the moment, but we'll see how it ends up at the end of round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries here on the InterSim Esports Network. But Paul, couple of laps to go. Who's your pick with a couple of laps to go?
Ooh, it's definitely between Justin and Cade at this stage. I think I might have to throw the hat off to Cade, actually. He's got a lot of race pace, and after that little slide, big send, that's not going to help him now.
I think again, you put the commentators cursing on them. I think that's now Justin Witcher's race. So, Paul, if that's not a commentator's curse, I've never seen one.
It's been a habit of us tonight. First it was Andy Barber, and then Sammy K, I think, and Cade now. So, yeah, a couple of times for myself, once for you. So it hasn't been a good thing. Maybe we should just talk about the weather instead.
Yeah, we can. So the weather's variable at 24 degrees, and that's about all I've got. My name's not... who's old mate? Gary Youngbury in the weather or whatever. I don't know. We're all from around the world, so everyone watches different weather. So, yeah, definitely. Well, I must say, Paul, I'd have to be a better broadcaster or commentator on iRacing than I would be a weatherman.
Yeah, well, standing in front of a green screen and talking about things that it's raining or it's sunny. Yeah, there's not much action there, but all the action's here on the InterSim network. So
yeah, it is, and we're getting told no more talking by Hayden's mum as well. So obviously, we're doing a great job. So go us here on the InterSim Esports Network. But seriously, guys, thank you for everyone tuning in here on the InterSim Esports Network for round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Big shout out to, again, as we go into the final lap, I believe, here of round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Ray Wright Wirral Gander are a big sponsor of this series. Also, Witcher Electrics, as we see the leader of this motor race is the leader of the championship from Witcher Electrics, leading this as Justin Witcher, AP Esports as well. So, I'm trying to read as we commentate, but Paul, I'll let you take to the end of this because I'm trying to read comments as I'm trying to commentate, and I'm not doing very well at it.
I was just having a bit of a laugh there. So, Kylie, one of the commentators cursed back on P1 to 4. So, Justin Witcher P1, Cade Donnelly P2, Sammy K P3, and Hayden Sell in P4 as we make our final way down through the corkscrew here with Justin Witcher. So, hopefully that might have helped you out, Kylie. Not too sure, but Andy Barber there sitting in P5 and Troy Davidson P6.
But what a race tonight by Justin Witcher there, Paul. He has, apart from Hayden Sell leading this one early and having that unfortunate incident, Justin Witcher has made no mistake, and we see him pull it up into the final corner here of Laguna Seca, and he's going to take the win for round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries here from Laguna Seca. Justin Witcher from Pinnacle Esports in the ZB Commodore is your winner. Cade Donnelly will take second place after having 2 or 3 shots at Justin Witcher there to try and take the lead of this race and win round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Will finish P2. Sam Katakouzanos will finish P3. Hayden Sell with a great drive considering where he ended up after that incident. He definitely would be kicking himself not to be able to win that one, but a nice solid drive in P4. As we've said, hopefully we see him in some oval stuff moving forward, but again, on a road course, he did well. Andy Barber there in P5, Troy Davison P6. Gary Wellman, P7, Ruben Phelps with a good job there in P8, Todd Maxfield, P9, Pete Matson rounding out your top 10, Paul.
Yeah, and we'll bring up those race results once they come available over the whole thing. But yeah, very solid drive from Justin Witcher. So didn't really put a foot wrong the whole race, ran a consistent race, and even off the start line there, he was looking to make a move early on Hayden Sell around the outside there into the Andretti hairpin. But yeah, great race by Justin, and even Kay Donnelly as well, showing some real pace there tonight as well.
Yeah, it was a great race. It was really, really good to call. Different in relation to what we're used to with ovals, as we're used to road with how it happens, but with the difference of pace with everyone, especially with Hayden having that mistake earlier, the way that Cade definitely drove up onto the back of Justin there in the end of the race, and he had 2 or 3 shots and made that mistake, but wise head on young shoulders there are Justin Witcher, who celebrates the win for round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries, and Aaron's just commented again there, Paul, going, well done everyone, that was a great race to watch. And apparently Hayden will be pleased that he doesn't have to do an interview. So Hayden, P4, well done to you. But just waiting on Cade Donnelly at the moment to come up into the booth. But we will go through the final standings for tonight's round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries here from Laguna Seca. Taking the win once again, and we've got his seat nice and warm, as he knows we do. Justin Witcher from Pinnacle Esports taking the win from Cade Donnelly there in P2. Sam Katakouzanos there in P3. Hayden Sell with a comeback drive there in P4. Andy Barber P5. Troy Davison P6. Gary Wellman 7th. Ruben Phelps from Aussie Esports in Dunedin, New Zealand in P8. Todd Maxfield P9. Peter Matson in P10. Paul, we'll keep going through quickly before we go on to the formalities. Pete Matson doing a great job up there from Ray White Rural Gander there in P10. Christopher Finlay. Very, very unfortunate race for Christopher Finlay there after being right up there in P2. So this is going to be good for Justin Witcher with his championship standings at the moment there in P11. Greg Spencer P12. Adam Malone P13. Terry Marwood 14th. Raymond Yeager 15th. Nigel Payton 16th. Shannon Wright 17th. And Aaron Dillon 31 laps down in 18th. And we roll across. Sean King will be 32 laps down in 19th. Dwayne Priest with an unfortunate race there in 20th. Darren McKenzie with a really unfortunate race there in 21st. And rounding out the field was John Quass in 22nd position, rather.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Darren McKenzie with some internet issues possibly. Would have been great to have seen how Darren would have fared in the race and maybe had a 3-car battle towards the end.
Yeah, we're not sure. I'm just looking down at the Discord at the moment. I'm not sure whether that's who we need to bring up, whether that is Cade Donnelly, because his Discord name is not what I thought it was. But looking with Aaron Dillon and Ruben Phelps down there in the green room, this will be Cade Donnelly. So we'll move him up into the broadcast booth. So thank you, Cade, there for definitely throwing me out, not knowing what your name is in Discord. But you just want to do that here on a Sunday night because it's not hard enough as it is. But anyway, guys, that's round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries here from Laguna Seca. In the supercars, used to doing ovals. We've done one round at Oran Park at the moment in road. We go back to another road tonight at Laguna Seca, and P3, Sam Katakouzanos, mate. Happy with that one?
I'll take it. I screwed my own race up lap 1 and did a tank slapper trying to get up that hill and cold tires. And then I don't know what happened in front of me, but people were dropping off and making mistakes, and I was working my way up again. But towards the end of each run, I started getting a bit slippery with the braking and some wild moves every now and then, and that didn't help. And then lap 29, whatever happened on lap 29 nerfed my car enough where, I couldn't keep moving forward, and I had to fend off Hayden. He was slowly creeping up behind me, and he was so close to taking the posse. Good run, although.
Yeah, he was definitely close to getting you there, Sam. He had an incident earlier, which was completely his own fault, getting on the dirt, and he was quickest in practice and quicker in qualifying. Exactly what we saw at Oran Park when we went road racing, and he made his resurgence tonight here for the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries, and he did the same thing, and he got the jump early, and then he made that mistake, and then he was chasing you down at the end. At one point, were you looking at your relative and looking at that name and going, oh my God, he's coming?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he was outstanding at quali and in the practice, and I thought, well, I think I got P3 for the start of the race. The best I can do is just hang on and don't make mistakes, which obviously I went straight ahead and made a mistake. But and then I think Darren McKenzie did a really sweet pass on me at the start to get the third position. But yeah, there must be some stories to tell because apart from Justin, I don't think the rest of them ahead of me stayed ahead of me. So I'll need to go back and find out, look at the replay, look at the broadcast, and see what their stories were.
It was definitely an interesting race, mate. But we're now on board with you, actually, seeing your little iRacing helmet. What's a little bit of an inspire behind your iRacing helmet there? You've got the iridium red reflective visor there with a couple of stars across the top of your helmet.
You talk about my car?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing on my iRacing at the moment.
Hang on, let me go have a look.
Oh, it's been a long time since he's changed his helmet, so we'll have to move on.
He just doesn't want you to see the colour of his eyes.
nothing special. No, it's just it's actually a team paint, team design. So all the members of my team get the same helmet and driver suit and race cars. The only thing that's different are our nicknames on the windscreen.
No,
which,
looks good.
for me, Sammy Bobby.
Looks good, Sammy Bobby. But P3 here for round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries, mate. Congratulations, well done. Paul, anything you want to have a chat to Sam before we let him go?
Yeah, Sammy Bobby. It looked like you struggled a little bit on the cold tyres there early at the start of the race. There, you dropped back about 6 or 7 spots, and then after your pit stop as well, you just sort of struggled a little bit. Did you take tyres in that pit stop, or just the brakes going a bit cold?
I screwed up late, lap 18. I think lap 18 was a really bad lap. I think I missed the corkscrew, and I didn't realise how much brake balance I needed adjusting for me. So I decided to get in early and have one wasted lap instead of 2. And there was enough fuel to get to the end and change the tyres. And yes, everything started working well again. Got back into my rhythm, but yeah, I started making my mistakes. Entering the braking zones, I'm not sure what was the deal there with me, but I started to get a little bit more inconsistent towards the top of the corkscrew and the last corner as well.
Yeah, I did see in the background the last corner. It looked like you sort of locked up a little bit, or just didn't brake enough.
From lap 29 onwards, so I had basically a new car to deal with, and she wasn't liking the hard braking. That's for sure.
Well, then, nevertheless, there, Sam, P3 for round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. You cannot not be happy with that, mate. Anyone you want to have a big shout out to before we let you go and move on to P2, P1?
Oh, the series itself, the sponsors, broadcasters, the drivers for showing up, that was a pretty full-on crowd to do for a road course for a predominantly oval series. So thanks everyone, and special shout out to Raymond, the series organizer. So every one of them helps make this series what it is, and yeah, I really get to enjoy it.
No worries, Sam. Well, we appreciate your kind words for everyone involved, and we look forward to seeing you here for round 9 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. But that's your P3 place getter there, ladies and gentlemen, Sam Katakouzanos. And we move across to Cade Donnelly. Cade, mate, P2, you had 2 chops at Justin Witcher. You were definitely quicker. You just couldn't make that pass to get that win, mate.
No, that's it, mate. Before the first pit stop, I was just working on the gap, trying to close that down to as close as possible for before the pit. Then I think when we come out, he had a decent gap, so I was like, all right, we've got to work that gap again. Got to the point where I was sort of, on his bumper and sort of thought, well, I'll ride out a couple of laps and see what happens. The opportunity presented itself. I went through, made a mistake into the last corner, locked the rears. He went back through. But yeah, it's just trying to keep it fair and clean and all the rest of it,
Yeah, definitely, mate. And you did a great job of that. You definitely had a quicker car, and I'm sure you could have got up there and made the move at some point. And that's where definitely being a little bit more wise and trying to get those championship points did help, because you did try and make those positions or that move for the race rather over Justin a couple of times, and just got a little bit tight on those rears with that brake bias, and you're going no, and you just settled to second. So great drive there for the Sim Boys car, mate.
Yeah, look, I think Justin, we had our strengths and weaknesses around the track. It looked like maybe that it was working out for me more so. He was probably better in the last half of the lap. But yeah, I just thought, well, just settle it down and take the points, eh?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Paul, anything you want to add?
Well, we did see you actually make a pass on Justin there for the lead with a few laps to go, and obviously just done a big drifty out of the last corner there, and we saw it again as well when you got back right on the back of Justin. So it's that a bit of a problem corner, that last corner, as Sam mentioned. He had a little bit of trouble with it as well.
Yeah, it's just a drive off the corner, or you got to be careful on the brakes in too. But if you go in a little bit hot, you're probably gonna try and get on it a bit earlier on the way out, which you're gonna light up the rears. So yeah, it's just a real fine line to nail it, And he was doing a really good job, Justin, of nailing that corner. So it was making it really hard to make any sort of gap at that point.
Yeah, I think we saw one of your teammates actually make a big dive around the outside on that corner and get a pass done around the outside in the early race. So that was quite a move there from them. I think might have been Aaron possibly, but he had a pretty solid race there. And Sim Boy's car, number 41, might have to start calling you Sum 41 there, because in too deep a little bit on some of the corners.
Sometimes a finish.
Yeah, it was a good race from you anyway, mate.
Yeah, no, cheers. Well done to Justin and Sam.
No worries, Cade. Great race from me as well. Everyone here from the InterSim Esports Network and the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Great job there on a P2, mate. Good to see you up in the box and finally have a chat to you after a long time. So good to see you get a P2, but we'll move across quickly, mate. And Justin Witcher, P1, mate, we do joke about keeping this seat warm, but I tell you what, you don't give it a chance to go cold.
Hey, yeah, I've been missing for a few weeks. Raymond's been able to keep it warm for me, so it's been good.
Well, I was going to ask you as my question, do you like a cold seat? Because we didn't see you last week, and we said we were going to keep it warm for you for the third in the row to be in the booth, but you vacated that seat for Raymond last week, so you must like a cold seat rather than a hot seat.
Yeah, well, seems to be we don't like to be on the podium together. So
No, you had a pretty solid run all night. Even off the line there, looks like you wanted to try and take the lead from Hayden in turn one there. So you were showing pretty good pace over the whole race as well. What was your strategy sort of going into the race?
yeah, I was actually, to be totally honest with the championship and all, I was going to try and qualify up higher and start in the pits because I thought, but through the corkscrew first lap, turn one was going to be pretty hectic. Just try and recoup a few positions. But when I put on in second, I thought, oh, I'll just stay up here and have a crack. And yeah, I don't know, Hayden must have missed a gear down the straight when we started, so sort of had a sniff on the outside, but I thought I'll just let him go because there's no way I was going to hold him back. He was on fire. So, and then yeah, it was actually harder to stay in front than it was to sort of chase someone, I suppose.
Mate, sorry, Paul. What do you think there, Justin, when you saw Hayden have that little bit of mishap a couple of laps in and turned around? Did you think all your Christmases would come at once, or did you think he'd come back to you at the end?
Yeah, pretty much. I come around the corner and here his car was sideways, just going to the wall, and I went, oh, here we go, we're on. And he spun as he was flicking around, coming back towards the track. I seen he had no, I don't know whether he got it fixed or not, but at the time he had no bonnet or front bumper. So I thought, oh, well, that's good because he probably won't struggle to catch back up to us. But yeah, obviously fourth, he's done pretty well.
Yeah, he did, mate. But you got to be happy with that one. Nice, solid position, mate. Come into the round, road course, Oran Park. You didn't do that well as much as you didn't do bad at all, rather. Come into another round, you come in the championship leader after Christopher Finlay leading for the first 3 or 4 rounds. You've been leading for the last couple of solid wins, and now you go to a road course and another win, mate. You definitely need to be confident in the last 4 rounds of this series to be able to take home the inaugural series of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries.
Yeah, with Oran Park, it was a bit annoyed actually because I missed the start, so I had to start from pits. I had some internet issues, so sort of what could have been. I suppose I definitely wouldn't have been up there, but would have been able to be in a lot better spot than 10th or 11th, wherever I finished up. But yeah, as everyone says, there's 4 rounds to go and a lot can happen. It's not a big gap from the boys behind, so ovals. I think we've got a couple speedways or something. So yeah, like I said, anything can happen with those. So we'll just take 1 week at a time and put it above the boys that are in second and third.
That's the plan, mate. But we just need to quickly jump back to Justin. Cade, we do apologise, mate. We had you up in the broadcast booth for P2, but, mate, we didn't give you a chance to have a shout-out to your sponsors, mate.
It's all good, mate. Yeah, just shout out to the boys, Sim boys. That's it, really.
No worries, mate. Well, I'm sure the Sim boys are there cheering you on. And I know Aaron Dillon was on the broadcast as well, cheering you on, mate. So you guys in these cars, something about it, whether it be road or oval, are absolutely amazing. So congratulations to you. But Justin, we'll go back to you, the winner of round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries. Mate, big shout out to your sponsors. You're making this a habit. I know that Hayden Sell at Oran Park on the road definitely went start to finish, but tonight you kept it honest regardless of the mistake, and you go into round 9 leading this championship by a considerable margin. So big shout out to your sponsors, mate.
Yeah, Witcher Electrics. I'm down in Ballarat near Melbourne. The boys from Pinnacle Esports, so Matt, Nige, Raymond and Greg, and you 2 boys, Paul and Aiden, for putting on the broadcast. Oh, and Ray White. Definitely got to mention Ray White.
No worries, mate. But there we go, Paul. Justin Witcher, the winner of round 8 of the Australasian SUPERCAR eSeries here on the InterSim Esports Network, round 8 from Laguna Seca, mate. That's a night and that's dusted, but not sure whether you can bring that up for the viewers at the moment if we see how these championship standings are currently as we're round 8. So we are 1/3 through the championship with 4 rounds to go. we'll see whether we can bring up those championship standings. And there we go. So Justin Witcher, who we just spoke to from Pinnacle Esports Racing, is on top there on 268 points, who furthers his lead in front of Christopher Finlay there on 245 points. Gary Wellman has jumped up there into third, 244 points, only 1 point behind Christopher Finlay. Troy Davidson there on 234. So we see Simboys second, third, fourth at the moment. Raymond Yeager there on 220 points in P5. Cade Donnelly 207 P6. Shannon Wright 192 P7. Darren McKenzie 184 P8. Greg Spencer on 175 P9, Andy Barber, 181 P9, Andy Barber 175 P10. So there we go, Paul. There is your top 10 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries provisionally after we do round 8 at Laguna Seca here on the Indicim Esports Network.
Yeah, and things are getting spicy there in the top 2, 3 and 4 spots for the Sim boys. So I'm sure as they have a cold beverage and watch a broadcast back, they'll be giving each other a bit of a bump and a bit of a joke there and who's going to take out those spots. But Cade obviously trying to jump up there, and that really helped Cade to catch up to those guys as well up there. So that's our round 8 done, our second road course for Laguna Seca. Our first was Zoran Park, and we still have one more road course of Lime Rock in there as well in the mix in a few weeks. So definitely a bit of a change up to points from tonight, as we said. Not really any positions changed, more so towards the back end there of the championship points, but definitely helped a few drivers close some gaps there.
Yeah, definitely. It was a really, really good race. But I'm looking at the comments again, and Kylie just removed one. So, Kylie, anytime you want to jump into the broadcast booth, come and jump in, mate. We'd be love to have you. It'd be great. But it's been great here for the Australasian Supercar eSeries for round 8 at Laguna Seca. But that is your winner tonight, Justin Witcher in P1. Cade Donnelly P2, Sam Katakouzanos in P3. But Paul, we go on Friday night next week and to the next round of the Full Throttle Friday Night Next Gen Series. So we're looking forward to bringing you that one here on the Indicim Esports Network. But then we will see you again next Sunday night here for the next round of the Australasian Supercar eSeries from Homestead Miami Speedway for 134 laps rather. We look forward to bringing that to you here on the Indicim Esports Network. So Paul, thank you for joining me in the booth tonight. Thank you to everyone tuning in on the Indicim Esports Network. We look forward to seeing you here next Friday night for the next round of the Full Throttle Friday Night Next Gen Series, and then again here on Sunday night for the next round 9 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. So, Paul, from myself, you, everyone involved in the Indicim Esports Network, everyone from the Australasian Supercar eSeries, and everyone tuning in, whether it be through Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, we thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next week. So thank you so much, Paul. Thank you to everyone tuning in, and have a good night, and we'll see you next week.